Jessica had always been the cautious type, a meticulous planner, a woman who color-coded her calendar and triple-checked hotel reviews before clicking book now. She was 38, freshly divorced, and finally, after months of emotional sludge, she treated herself to something she hadn't had in years, a solo beach vacation. Somewhere quiet, isolated, off the beaten path. Paradise, not just on brochures, but on her own terms. She found it in Isla Verdad, a private, lesser-known island resort off the coast of Belize. The pictures were stunning. The emails from the host were warm and welcoming. A boutique escape for those who wanted to leave the world behind, it said. Just what she needed. When she arrived, the island was everything she'd hoped for. Pale blue waters licked the sandy shores like clockwork. Thick jungles framed the background like a living painting. Her villa was modest but luxurious. Hand-carved wooden furniture, crisp white linens, the soft scent of hibiscus in the air. There were only a few other guests. A young couple who barely left their room, a retired writer who smiled but rarely spoke, and a middle-aged man traveling alone who introduced himself as Rick but offered little else. The first 2 days were dreamlike. Morning swims, tropical drinks, hammock naps beneath rustling palms. The staff was kind but discreet, always appearing when needed, never lingering. Jessica soaked it in, the silence, the solitude, the slow unraveling of tension she hadn't realized she was carrying. Then, on the third day, things began to shift. She noticed it during breakfast. The usual waiter didn't show. In his place was someone new, a gaunt, pale man with wide eyes who didn't speak a word. He set down her plate with trembling hands and avoided eye contact. "Thank you," she said softly. He nodded, turned sharply, and left. That afternoon, she saw the writer pacing by the tree line, muttering to himself. That evening, the couple was gone, their villa empty, the lights off, not a sound. Jessica tried to rationalize it. Maybe they checked out early. Maybe the writer was just eccentric. Maybe the new waiter was shy, but her stomach began to churn with unease. By nightfall, the island was silent in a way that felt unnatural. No music from the bar, no footsteps on the boardwalk, no staff. Phones in her villa were dead. Her cell had no signal. She tried walking to the main office. The door was ajar, the inside empty. A flickering fluorescent bulb buzzed overhead. Desks overturned, a coffee cup shattered on the floor, a single red smear on the wall near the switch. She froze. Was it paint, blood? She backed away, heart thumping so hard she felt it in her throat. That's when she heard it, a click behind her. The soft crunch of gravel. She turned sharply. No one. The path twisted and curved, and the dark seemed to pulse around her. She stumbled through thickening mist, lungs burning, until she reached her villa, slammed the door shut, and locked it. But lock suddenly didn't feel like enough. Not here. Not now. She moved furniture in front of the door, closed all the curtains, grabbed the decorative knife from the fruit basket, sat in the corner with her knees to her chest, holding the blade so tight her knuckles turned white. At some point, she must have dozed off. When she awoke, the villa was still dark. The air was cold. Then she heard it. Scraping. From the porch. Her breath caught. Another scrape, slower this time, then a tap, fingernails, or something harder. She didn't scream. She couldn't. Her body had locked into a statue of terror. She crept slowly to the side window and peeled the curtain back an inch. Nothing. The porch was empty. She turned. Bang! The door shook once, then again. Silence. She didn't sleep that night. When daylight came, it was pale and gray. The sun was choked by clouds. She ventured out, trembling. The porch railing was marked, deep, jagged gouges running along the wood. Not scratches, not from an animal. Tools. She ran back to the office, determined to find a radio or emergency kit. This time, she checked deeper, pushing through a back door into a supply room. What she found made her knees buckle. A wall of photographs, all Polaroids, all terrified faces. Some mid-scream, some hiding, some lying limp in the underbrush, names scrawled beneath in ink, some crossed out, some still open. She scanned frantically until she found hers. Crossed. Next to it, a timestamp, tonight 2 a.m. She gagged, almost vomited. Then she noticed something else, a monitor blinking in the corner. She moved toward it, a surveillance feed, multiple screens showing different parts of the island. And people, men, in masks, camouflage, holding weapons, crossbows, machetes, something that looked military grade. One stood in the trees outside her villa, another walked near the shore, another looked directly into a camera and smiled. Her scream was soundless. She staggered back and tripped over something, a body. The writer, throat slit, his eyes glassy, lifeless. Jessica ran. She didn't care which direction, she just ran. Hours blurred into each other. The sun dipped. Dusk bled into night. She hid in the jungle, biting down on her fist to keep from sobbing too loud. Once she heard footsteps, slow, deliberate, just feet from where she crouched behind a rotted log. A voice whispered, "She's close." She didn't breathe. She didn't move. Eventually they left. Twice she almost screamed. Once when a bird burst from a tree, and again when her foot sank into something soft, a corpse half buried with its jaw torn off. She pressed on, then a glimmer of hope. A small maintenance boat tied to the far dock, covered in tarp, almost invisible. She sprinted, limbs numb, and threw off the tarp. The engine had a key. It started, then a voice from the trees, "There she is!" Two men emerged, masks on, weapons raised. She shoved the throttle. Gunshots rang. Wood splintered. She screamed as the boat jolted forward, speeding into the fog. She didn't look back. When she hit the mainland hours later, disheveled and shaking, the harbor master called the authorities. She told them everything, showed them the photos she'd snatched from the office, the timestamp, the name list, the bodies. But when they reached Isla Verdad days later, the resort was gone. No villas, no office, no docks, just sand, jungle, and a few broken boards scattered along the shore. No records, no website, the domain was offline, no trace of the other guests, no trace of Rick. Nothing. As if it had never existed. Jessica lives in hiding now. New name, new city. She sleeps with lights on, doors locked, alarms set. But sometimes, just sometimes, she hears that scrape again. On her porch, and the feeling that somewhere out there, her name still hasn't been crossed out. If this spine-chilling tale kept you on the edge of your seat, don't forget to subscribe for more true crime-inspired nightmares and twisted escapes into darkness. There's always another story lurking in the shadows, and sometimes what you think is fiction is just waiting to happen. And remember, next time you hear a sound outside your window at night, don't assume it's the wind. Until next time, stay safe, and whatever you do, don't look behind you.